mandatory sentencing, does it work? Or will it create more problems than it solves? Rose Bishop has more.
Yes, I do, Pat.
Jesus! How long have you been here?
A while.
Sorry, Rose Bishop, everyone! Sorry, Rose. I assumed we were going to throw to like a pre-recorded piece that you put together before.
There's been a lot of talk about mandatory sentencing lately after new legislation was proposed in Victoria last month that would make assaulting an emergency services worker, like a paramedic or a cop, an offence with mandatory jail time, no matter how large or small the assault. So it doesn't matter whether you were punching a paramedic because you're wasted or spitting on a cop because you've got a bad case of being Wayne Carey. Outside of some fairly restrictive mental health exemptions, you'll end up in jail. This change was largely prompted by the public outcry after a 2016 incident where two reservoir women went on a bourbon, cannabis and champagne binge, or as Rihanna would call it, lunch. Unfortunately, the binge ended with the pair assaulting a paramedic so badly that he needed 3 operations. An appeal judge, citing the women's difficult childhoods and drug, alcohol and mental health issues, overturned their original jail sentences, making a lot of people understandably very mad. Now, I think we can all agree that assaulting emergency services workers is not on and deserves to be taken seriously. But what if the optics were different? What if the people affected by mandatory sentencing laws look like your Nan, or rather, my Nan? Welcome to Mandatory Sentencing. Oh, Nan, why'd you do it? Why'd you have to go and bash a cop?
Oh, that was a big one.
Oh, Nan,
Look, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I'm just a Nan. I'm just a little old Nan.
look, Nan, we've had some good times together. You've made me some great bickies in your time.
Oh, you loved those bickies. God, you had an appetite on you. You'd eat them so fast sometimes I wasn't sure if you were a little girl or a vacuum cleaner. Whoosh!
But now's not the time for that, Nan. You're looking at 6 months in jail, minimum.
But I just sort of tapped him with me cane.
Well, it was a bit more than that.
I won't survive in there.
Look, the point is you can't get out of it, Nan. You're going to jail.
By the time I come out, I'll have
Probably be dead.
missed the meet and greet with Costa from Gardening Australia.
Oh, or that, yeah.
Those tickets cost me a whole pension cheque.
Well, you should have thought of that before, shouldn't you?
Oh well, dear. I'm sure it's for the best. At least it'll stop other Nans from bashing cops.
Actually, Nan, all the research shows that mandatory sentencing doesn't actually reduce crime rates. In fact, when the Northern Territory introduced mandatory sentencing for property crimes in 1997, property crime actually increased. When the law was then repealed in 2001, property crime rates decreased again.
Oh well, I'm sure it'll save a bit of money locking me up rather than paying to rehabilitate me from the hardened criminal I've become.
Well, Australia has one of the highest per capita spends on incarceration in the developed world. Non-custodial sentences geared towards rehabilitation are cheaper and more effective, and Australia does not have Rihanna money to spend on locking more people up.
Look, love, fair's fair. I'll take my punishment just like anyone else would.
The thing is, as a straight white Nan, you're far less likely overall to be affected by mandatory sentencing. Numerous studies have shown that mandatory sentencing disproportionately affects marginalised communities. In fact, rates of incarceration of Indigenous Australians in WA and the Northern Territory rose so sharply after the introduction of mandatory sentencing laws that the United Nations Committee Against Torture recommended that the laws be abolished.
If mandatory sentencing doesn't work to reduce crime, costs a lot of money and targets marginalised groups, why are they locking me up, Rose?
I think maybe it's because the faces behind the crimes that tend to stir up public outrage and fuel cries for mandatory sentencing are less than sympathetic. Not everyone affected by mandatory sentencing laws looks like someone who would have beat me up in high school. More often than not, they're youth from bad homes, people with substance abuse issues, Indigenous people, the homeless, and yeah, even those ladies who lunch from Reservoir.
I had so much more to give the world. So many more bickies to bake.
Yeah, maybe I'll just take these.
Like a bloody Hoover.
Thank you. Rose Bishop, everyone. And now, Rose, how is Nan doing in jail?
Oh, she's running a gang. She's having a great time. She says it's much better than bowls. But I just want to make it clear that that doesn't make mandatory sentencing any less reactive and inequitable. A judge's job is supposed to be to put aside anger and fear and make sentencing decisions based on facts. And we can't just override that, no matter how good of a time Nan is having shivving bitches in jail. You've just got to ask yourself, what would Rihanna do?
What would Rihanna do?
Well, she'd uphold the legal principle of judicial discretion and then smoke a blunt on a yacht. Classic Rihanna.
Truly a beacon of light for us all. Well, we'll be right back.